Good afternoon. My name is Diana Sherber, and on behalf of the A-Team, I would like to thank you for the opportunity to make this presentation to your executive board today. I'm here with my colleagues Jeremy, Miles, and VT. Our goal is to help you understand, as an organization, exactly what you need to do to ensure that your teams function effectively. We understand that this is no small task in any organization of any size, and we're excited to help you build this foundation as you grow. Our goal with the presentation today is to communicate a design that creates a culture that ensures that your teams function effectively. Our clients are complex, very interdependent organizations, and we understand that today more than ever, your organization must operate with effective teams to compete and be successful. Just like any other organization, you have a culture. Everyone does. That business culture then drives the behavior of your leadership team and your employees. We will help you implement specific recommendations so that they become a part of your company's culture. And as with any organizational change, it could take years. It will be critical for you to continue to monitor the behavior of the employees to ensure that it actually has become a part of the company culture. So let's start with framing. Everyone brings their own idea or definition of what a team is. And during our presentation today, we're going to ask you to reimagine teamwork in a whole new way. Since it's a new way of looking at teams, leadership will have to frame the desired setting. The desired setting is an environment where the work of the team is a learning experience, where experiments and mistakes are not only encouraged, but they're rewarded. Expert Amy Edmondson says that the brains and the voices of all employees are needed in the process to make the outcome be the best that it can be. Moving to collaboration, we want to help you create an environment of highly skilled collaborators who team effectively. The organization must intentionally create moments of learning for all teams. Lastly, creating meaning. We realize that some employees may have difficulty reframing the future. We will train your leaders to help those employees find meaning again in the work that they do. Viktor Frankl was a Holocaust and concentration camp survivor, and he says that employees must find meaningful purpose in the work that they do. We'd like to start the discussion around the differences between groups and teams. Take a look at this image. Do you see a group or a team? Actually, it could be either. It just depends on the dynamics of how they approach their work and efforts as a collection of individuals. Let's differentiate between groups and teams. Let's start with some of the characteristics of a group. Typically, they have one leader. They have a very clear focus. They have individual accountability. They come together to discuss, make decisions, and delegate. And most of the time, their work or efforts are measured by indirect influence. In other words, their work might contribute to a financial goal that the organization makes at the end of the year. Teams, on the other hand, are very different. Let me walk you through some of the characteristics of teams. Number one, a team has a shared purpose and a common commitment to one another and to the team itself. Number two, teams encourage and reward experimentation, and this includes mistakes and failures. Teams share a trust among its members. They make sacrifices for one another and for the team. Number four, teams have a safe environment. Amy Edmondson defines a safe environment as one where the members are not fearful to share their feedback and input. Number five, collaboration. As Jim Tan puts it, effective teams must collaborate internally and compete externally. And lastly, accountability. For a team, there is both individual accountability and then there's accountability as a group of individuals. We often share the elevator analogy to compare a group to a team. Now that we've gone through some of the common characteristics of each of those, this may help put it all together for you. Think of an elevator that has a group of individuals riding down to the first floor. When the elevator gets stuck in between floors, typically that group will turn into a team. As they start to discuss rescue and escape, they assign roles and they communicate. Let me walk you through a few more comments about teams before I pass the presentation to my colleague. These are some of the things that the industry experts say are the key attributes of a team. Amy Edmondson says that teams develop direction, momentum, and commitment by working to shape a meaningful purpose. And while this sounds simple, we all know it's not easy, or more organizations would be doing it effectively. Amy Edmondson goes on to say that teams are where the crucial organizational learning takes place. That means that these learnings could make the difference between success and failure for your organization. Lastly, we also know that two of the most common reasons that teams fail is they have a lack of useful communication patterns and a lack of shared purpose. We've created a program for your organization that will help you avoid these and many other common pitfalls. With that, I will turn the presentation over to VT, and he's going to go through some of the difficulties and challenges that teams face.
Thank you, Diana. Now that we understand the difference between teams and groups, let's explore what it takes for high-performing teams to function. Then, let's take a look at what barriers and challenges teams are likely to encounter when carrying out these behaviors. According to Edmondson, the foundational behaviors of high-performing team members are speaking up, collaborating, experimenting, and reflecting. These behaviors allow team members to contribute their diverse expertise, perspectives, and experiences to continually learn as a collective, and ultimately help the team achieve its shared purpose. Without any of these behaviors exhibited by every member of the team, successful teaming will not occur. Have you ever been in a meeting where you had this gut feeling that compelled you to say something, but your better judgment told you that you should stay quiet? I know I have. There were several reasons why I remained quiet, and they all revolved around how everyone in the meeting will perceive me after I said what I wanted to say. Will I be made fun of for not knowing something, or for saying something that was considered to be obvious? Will my competence be questioned, or will I simply be ignored? Facebook COO Sheryl Sandberg suggests that honest, open dialogue requires personal courage, but organizational consultant Simon Sinek and a host of others suggest that it also requires a conducive environment, one in which people mutually trust and respect each other and their relevant thoughts and feelings. Speaking up is a building block of behaviors which contribute to collaborating, experimenting, and reflecting. Lacking a psychologically safe environment, in which to do so is one of the most significant hurdles to having candid conversations. It isn't very often that a single academic discipline or business function can develop solutions without affecting other departments or functions. For example, in a manufacturing plant that produces widgets, a redesign of the widgets to meet market demands will require the input of the R&D, engineering, production, logistics, warehousing, sales, marketing, and even finance departments, among many others. Working across diverse hierarchical, academic, functional, departmental, or even cultural and international boundaries can be difficult, as each of these may have nuanced dissimilarities in how they operate. Working across boundaries can lead to misunderstandings, defensiveness, and unhealthy conflict. It may even cause team members to withdraw into silence. When operating in dynamic and ambiguous environments where there aren't any prescribed solutions, being creative and making deliberate, educated attempts at problem solving is sometimes the only option. Because these solutions don't always succeed, implementing them requires a degree of risk tolerance. How often have we been afraid to make decisions or take risks because we were fearful of the dire consequences waiting for us if our decisions or risk taking led to the team failing? Many team members will be reluctant to experiment if they fear being punished for failing. Debriefs and after-action reviews, whether deliberate or impromptu, are how teams reflect on their actions and how teams learn from their attempts at problem solving. Reflection, in general, requires a degree of personal vulnerability. When we reflect collectively, the amount of vulnerability is even more significant because our actions will not only be subject to our own judgment, but also the judgment of others. Just as in the barriers to open communication, if the team's environment is non-permissive, that is, if team members feel they will be persecuted for their genuine efforts to contribute to the team's common purpose, team members will likely be hesitant to reflect sincerely. The success of high-performing teams requires a combination of each of these behaviors. Missing any of them will be to the detriment of the team. I will now be followed by Miles and Jeremy, who will discuss best practices and some of the nuances encountered by virtual teams.
Leadership roles allow for people to know their purpose in the organization, and this plays a huge role in the group's success. It allows for people to utilize their strengths and stay away from their weaknesses. If everyone in the workplace isn't honest and transparent, then the organization will have a hard time achieving its goals. Always listen to what people say, not the manner in which they say it. Trust is always earned, not given. So if you want the respect from your employees, you need to make the right judgments that will benefit everyone. In order to develop a real relationship with someone, you have to actually listen to what they have to say and not just constantly tell them what to do. Make sure all voices are heard. No one wants to work with people that constantly get neglected or neglects them. The janitor has to get the same respect as the CEO. Fair speaking time for everyone is mandatory. All the best organizations have mutual respect for anybody, no matter what position you hold or how much money you're making. And lastly, no one should be overlooked. Have patience. All great things take time. Not everything is going to happen right away. It could take days, weeks, months, or even years. Remain calm through adversity. There are always going to be bumps in the road. Don't get rattled and continue to stay focused. Be transparent with results. Don't sugarcoat things. Say what needs to be said. You must have mutual feedback to all players. Everyone has the right to know what they did right or what they need to improve on. Lastly, buy in. That's the only way it's going to work. All great teams must define proper team roles. There must be a champion, creator, implementer, and a facilitator. A champion is someone who promotes ideas and rallies the group together. A creator is someone who generates these ideas. An implementer is someone who takes charge of the daily work and tasks. And a facilitator is someone who does well managing the relationships of the entire group.